A booster shot is being developed that will boost your immunity for life against all diseases. This is what's known in science as sterilizing immunity. And the goal of this vaccine would be to eliminate the disease from the face of the earth. But how can we achieve this? How would such a vaccine work, and when could it be ready? This kind of thinking is not new. It first appeared in 2003 when scientists proposed that we could make a universal influenza vaccine, one that would protect us from all types of flu. The idea was to create a vaccine that would target the most conserved parts of the virus, the parts that mutate the least. This is because if a virus mutates too much, our immune system can't recognize it anymore and the vaccine won't work. But the more similar the part of the virus is between different strains, the longer our immune system will remember it and the longer the vaccine's effect will last. It took some time, but in 2018, researchers finally made progress. They found a way to make an effective vaccine against influenza that could last for decades by using two proteins found in the virus, M1 and M2. When mice were given the vaccine, they developed immunity against both seasonal and pandemic strains of the flu. This immunity lasted for at least 8 years and may even last their whole lives. So this was promising, but this was just the flu. Can the same thing be done for other diseases? Well, the answer is yes, at least for HIV. In 2022, scientists claimed to have created a vaccine that gives sterilizing immunity against HIV. It works by injecting a weakened version of the virus into a person along with a molecule called an adjuvant. Adjuvants are substances that boost the immune response to a vaccine, so they make the vaccine more effective. In this case, the adjuvant used was called PFO4, and it's made of 2 parts, a saponin called QS1 and a lipid called montanide ISA51. Now, when the vaccine was tested on human cells, it triggered the production of antibodies that neutralized all strains of HIV. Then it was tested on mice and rhesus monkeys, which are both susceptible to HIV, and it worked. Their blood contained broadly neutralizing antibodies that targeted the conserved parts of the virus, meaning that they were protected from a wide variety of HIV strains. This vaccine also had another advantage. It stimulated the production of memory B cells, which are a type of white blood cell that remembers a pathogen and quickly produces antibodies against it upon reinfection. These memory B cells can live for decades, meaning that the protection provided by the vaccine can last for many years. However, this vaccine has only been tested on animals so far. Human trials haven't begun yet. And even if it works in humans, it still needs to be approved by the FDA before it can be used to treat people. But if it does get approved, it could potentially be the first sterilizing vaccine for HIV, which would be huge news. But there's still another problem. While it may be possible to create a sterilizing vaccine for HIV, it may not be possible for other diseases like tuberculosis, hepatitis B, or measles. That's because these viruses mutate very quickly, so it would be difficult to find a part of them that doesn't mutate, something that our immune system could recognize. However, scientists are still working on it, and new developments are being made all the time. For example, in 2023, scientists developed a vaccine that could give a person lifelong immunity against COVID-19. This vaccine contains messenger RNA that codes for several different proteins found on the surface of the virus. The idea is that by targeting these proteins, the immune system will be better able to recognize the virus and destroy it. So far, the vaccine has only been tested on mice, but the results are promising. The mice developed strong immunity against the original strain of COVID-19 and also against newer variants. And this immunity lasted for at least 10 months. This is just one example of a new type of vaccine that could potentially give people lifelong immunity against COVID-19. Other examples include mRNA vaccines that contain genetic material from multiple different strains of the virus and viral vector vaccines that use a harmless virus to deliver genetic material from the COVID-19 virus into cells. These types of vaccines are still in development, but they may eventually be used to create a single shot that provides lifelong immunity against all strains of COVID-19. But even if we could create a vaccine that gave lifelong immunity against COVID-19, would we use it? There are some potential drawbacks to consider. For example, some people may be hesitant to get a vaccine that lasts for life. There are also concerns that a sterilizing vaccine could potentially be harmful, since it would involve injecting people with a weakened or even a live version of the virus. Finally, there's the cost. Developing and manufacturing a vaccine that lasts for life would be expensive, which could make it less accessible to people in developing countries. So even though a sterilizing vaccine for COVID-19 might be possible, it's unlikely to happen anytime soon. And it's not clear whether or not it would actually be beneficial. Even if it was, some people would say that it's unethical to develop a vaccine that could potentially kill everyone who has the disease. A good example of this is smallpox. Smallpox is a terrible disease that has killed millions of people throughout history. But in the early 20th century, scientists developed a vaccine that was incredibly effective at preventing and treating the disease. If they had been able to create a sterilizing vaccine, they could have potentially eliminated smallpox from the face of the earth. But they didn't. They knew that doing so would be unethical since there was no way to guarantee that the vaccine was safe. And there was also no way to know how it would affect people in developing countries. In the end, they decided that the benefits of having a vaccine that could save millions of lives outweighed the risks, and they were right. Smallpox is now one of only 2 diseases to have been eradicated by vaccination, the other being the disease caused by the rinderpest virus. Even if we could create a sterilizing vaccine for COVID-19, we probably wouldn't use it because the disease isn't nearly as deadly as smallpox. In fact, the majority of people who get COVID-19 recover without any serious complications. So it wouldn't be ethical to put them at risk by giving them a vaccine that could potentially kill them. There's also the problem of people who don't trust vaccines. If we developed a vaccine that could give people lifelong immunity against COVID-19, many people would be hesitant to get it. They might be concerned about the safety of a vaccine that lasts for life, or they might simply not believe that it works. This hesitancy could lead to a lot of people opting out of getting the vaccine, which would make it difficult to eradicate the disease. However, despite these challenges, I think that we should still try to develop a sterilizing vaccine for COVID-19. The disease has killed millions of people and it continues to mutate, which makes it more transmissible and more deadly. A sterilizing vaccine would be the ultimate solution to the pandemic, and it would also help to reduce the number of people who die from the disease each year. The problem is that we're probably many years away from having this technology. The first step is to create a vaccine that gives people immunity against all current and future strains of the virus. Once we have that, we can then try to find a way to make it last for life. The technology to do this doesn't exist yet, but it's only a matter of time until we develop it. In the meantime, we'll just have to continue doing what we're doing, wearing masks, social distancing, and getting vaccinated. Thanks for watching.